Hello and welcome to this week's Spotlight and Guide. This week we'll be covering Mozu. Mozu Time! Help please! Have you ever been in that game where Mozu just keeps on spamming the same line repetitively? Well, I feel sorry for you. Now moving on to the Spotlight and Guide. Mozu is a DPS caster that packs a punch. She has a high offensive capability as long as you're placing yourself well within the environment. Her defense is very poor, but she makes up for it in mobility and utility. You don't need a solid aim to play this little demon, but you will need a hot reaction speed to get out of sticky situations, as one wrong move will make you assassin's food. Now moving on to Mozu's lore. She is a goblin mage that likes to steal ones from her teachers. Well, teachers that would not teach her, because she was kind of a rebel and they didn't agree on like her magic and what she could do. So she had to learn and master all the spells by herself, but no matter what Mozu mastered, she would always have her favourite skill, which would be magic bolts. Now moving on to Mozu's skills, so let's begin off with her favourite skill, Magic Bolts. This skill unleashes bolts at your target. This skill has a slighter auto aim, so it's handy for people that don't want to worry about aiming too much. Now moving on to her second skill, Mozu shoots a beam attack that slows enemies. Now moving on to Mozu's probably most annoying skill, Arcane Vortex. This skill is mostly annoying to enemies, but not to Mozu, as long as you place it correctly. Arcane Vortex creates a vortex in front of Mozu that deflects projectiles. This skill lasts for 4 seconds. Now moving on to Mozu Escape skill, or Initiation or Defense skill, depending on how you upgrade it. Dimension Door, teleport to a target location. This has a short to medium range. Now moving on to Mozu's Focus skill. This skill unleashes a deadly beam attack. The more focus charges you have, the more targets you can hit. Now moving on to Mozu's talents. All tether now. Attract beam stays attached for longer range. During clash, rapidly grants focus while attached. Perfect Storm, Arcane Vortex has a longer duration. During clash, raises crit chance to 100%. Added Dimension, Dimension Door has a longer range. This is Mozu's teleportation skill. 6 meters during clash and minus 6 seconds cooldown if your health is over 50%. So that's Mozu's general basic kit. I was going to go over all of Mozu's upgrade, but I feel that's going to be for another video and another time, because it's going to take me 10 to 20 minutes just to talk about all of our upgrades and how they're fundamentally used. So instead I'm going to go over just a general build for Mozu, which I use within my games, and it focuses on teleportation as well as reflect to deal damage to your enemies and to get away safely. So for my level 1 upgrade, I take Reverse Polarity. This gives me an increase of 50% longer duration to my Arcane Vortex, which gives me an extra 2 seconds on top, and reflects enemy projectiles. So this directs the projectiles back at the enemy instead of just deflecting them off. So this is where most of your main damage comes from, as long as you're timing it well with the enemy's attack. So what you want to do is set this up so they're attacking like they're using their focus or just general skills, and they need to hit this barrier just to reflect it back at the enemy. So for my level 2 I take Seek and Shelter. You're probably wondering why I take this second. Well, mostly it's to get about the map faster and to teleport to my allies. So especially if I'm splitting up with my team. So this works well if your team's more communicated. So you have one player on the other side of the map, or they teleport over to a ledge, and you know you probably won't be able to get it because you can actually teleport a lot further and travel the map's distance in a way using this skill, so it just offers you that extra distance to travel around the map. So level 3 I take Running here. I use this skill mostly to get my full damage going, as it takes a while to build up the damage with Mozu, so having the ability for magic bolts to instantly power up to release their full devastating power for the actual full duration of that, how long they last, is a lot better than them slowly gradually building up. But you've got to remember to use a skill beforehand, so this is where I use like Vortex or Dimension Door or Attractor Beam. So number 4 I take Battle Ready. I mostly take this because I'm building into skirmishing, but the extra 15% armor while you're attacking an enemy is really handy anyway. But yeah, that's about it really. At level 5 I take Skirmishing. This is going to help me regen stamina as well as health when out of combat, and lets me get back in combat a lot faster. At level 5 I also take the talent Perfect Storm. I take this because Arcane Vortex lasts longer, and when in clash it gives me a 100% crit chance when I'm shooting through it. So this helps me just generally deal out more damage and lets me reflect the enemy's damage back at them for a longer duration. At level 6 I take Warp Factor just to gain haste mostly, so this helps me go in for a wound or initiate from leaving, because when I got my Arcane Vortex up, so it's been extended for about 8 seconds now, so my vortex lasts for a really long time, so it's a good idea to just get away if you've got assassins like chasing you, or you go in a lockdown, a wound. Just the general speed for your team, or anybody that passes through on your team, can get in and out of a situation really fast, so it's more of a supportive boost to your team than anything. At level 7, I take Cantrip of Disruption. This is to interrupt attacks that the enemy are dealing with you. So it has a slight delay, but if you time it well, you can stop focuses or just any type of attacks going out. So it's just all about key timing and learning how long the delay lasts for, and then initiating off that. So at level 8 on Magic Bolts, I take Magic Shell. This gives me 40% armor and a deflection while firing Magic Bolts. I take this mostly because of the deflection, because you can literally set yourself up so that you actually block off a whole passageway or a whole area for your team to literally hide behind, because you've got so much deflection and reflection firing at the enemy, so they can't actually do anything, so they can't actually initiate on your team with their range. It just completely shuts down their range, as well as you've got 40% armor as well. This helps you get away from like assassins using their burst combo and stuff like this on you. At level 9 on Dimension Door, I take Go Go Go. This gives me a 25% speed boost when I teleport to an ally, as well as gives them a speed boost. So this is good for initiating on wounds and getting away from wounds, or just getting out of sticky situations, because you and your ally can get away really fast. But you've got to make sure that they're at a distance as well, so you can actually benefit from your teleportation. But it's also just generally good just to chase on a wound, as long as you know the cooldowns of your Dimension Door, so then you can actually warp away. At level 10 on Attractor Beam, I take Force Feedback. This inflicts cripple on an enemy, which slows them down by 40%. They can no longer jump, and it lingers for 2 seconds after. I take this mostly last because I don't see the need for it if your team has a lot of stuns and cripples. But feel free to take this skill really early on if your team is lacking all that, as it is a really good skill to use still. Thank you all for watching this guide. If you like the video, feel free to like and subscribe, and if you have any more questions, please feel free to drop them below and I will try and get back to you and answer them as soon as possible. And thank you all, and have a nice day. At level 7, I take Cantrip of Disruption on Attractor Beam. So at level 7, I take Cantrip of Disruption.